All right, guys, welcome back to another Relentless recap. As you're tuning in, be sure to hit the thumbs up. And if you're a new viewer, consider subscribing to the channel. Today, we got a Red Day recap. We had some losses here on a halt resumption. A halt resumption trade is what really got us today, taking us to the depths on HTOO. So, after dragging myself out of my last drawdown and essentially coming flat, we have sized back up a little bit and we found ourselves back into another drawdown. And so we're going to go into another trader rehab yet again. And two bigger losses here after trying out the new platform. Although I will say the platform itself has been great. What hasn't been so great has been the pullback trades that we've been getting in on, such as HTOO pullback here. Let's come on down to the other screen. HTOO, not a bad pre-market move, all things considered. Anytime a stock goes up from 4 to 8 and then to 15, there's something there, right? However, into the open where we were really looking at this thing, looking for a potential red to green, we had some trouble. So the sentiment has been fairly good after the first, let's say into the first hour after the open, the last 4 to 8 days or so, the last week and a half or so. And we thought this one would have given us a move to the pre-market high. Turned out not to be the case. Started off with a red to green over 10. I did see it right here when it was pulling back. I saw it right here at 10:05. The volume not as high at the time, didn't jump in right away. Probably could have been in earlier there, maybe 10:07. And we did push right back up to 10:60. So it got halted up, and on the resumption is where we took losses. So the game plan was to use just a couple hundred shares just to make sure that we're going to be strong in the first place. Can we see a proper resumption trade dip and rip? And then from there, look for the follow through trades that comes after. Because a lot of the times when a stock is strong that's resuming, there'll be an initial entry, and then we kind of go, give another pullback, and then sometimes even a third time we'll get that entry. Right. Well, it all depends on how the halt resumption works out. If we're resuming sideways, then going up, or going lower and then making a new high, and or if it resumes higher and then just keeps going. Right. Those are all different circumstances. So in this case, we resumed higher. No. Hold up. What's the high? What was the higher? 1099. I believe it resumed lower. I think it resumed lower. Either one. I mean, I actually don't have the recording. My recording, I don't know. I think I might have forgot to hit the record button or something. But anyhow, the resumption gave a nice move. We caught the first trade. I can pull up the log right here. And this was around 9:45. We caught the first trade fairly well. We got a good 25-cent or so winner. And then I had the intuition that we're going to see a bigger pullback. And I'm like, yes, here we go. So this was HTOO right around this area here. Let's see, I think out of the resumption. So that will be around, 39.39. So this was the trade right here. So initially, let's come on down. Yeah, initially we're in. Let's see. We had about a 20-cent or so winner. Okay, right here. Yeah, so we're in. And we're in at 11.80. I'm selling right up at the whole dollar. Not a bad trade at all. And right here, I think we had lows of 11.50 initially. Right here, I'm waiting for the pullback. We had a high of about 12.60 or so, which wasn't bad. I'm out on this move a little early. I did hold some. I thought I was getting filled at least mid-teens, as in like 15, 16, 17 for a bit of a bigger winner, but fine. No problem. So it pulled back below the whole dollar. We tried 70. Instantly, it is down some more. And this was a good dip coming off of the highs of 12.63. So it's down about $1 a share at this point. It didn't hold. We got back out and we took the dip again at the whole dollar this time, and the stock halted down. It halted down at 10.74, and so we stopped out right at the halt level. Trying both dips, getting cooked on both dips. Not good at all. So this trade right here was essentially like the entire day's loss, which, you know, is never really good to lose this much in one trade. Of course, I accept the risk, but as I'm taking the trade, you know, I had no like doubts at all or fear or anything like that I was going to have a losing trade there because everything looked so good, right? Gradually, typically we do like to gradually increase size to, like, you know, build a cushion, but the move did look good. And in prior days, maybe a little bit of overcompensating there, but in prior days, we've had, you know, hotter stocks where we could have made much more on if we were a little aggressive sooner into the front side. So the goal was like, hey, let's just attack this front side ferociously, you know, get the first couple of green candles that's going to come here. And then the moment this thing gets to like backside, which I was thinking pre-market high or closer to 1460s at least, pre-market highs are at 1521. Once we get closer up here, just, you know, don't even look at anything. Don't even try a dip on the backside way down, right? On the way down. So we essentially got caught there, and that was pretty much the loss for the day, right? I don't think the platform made a difference. I mean, if I was in Schwab, I still would have took that same dip both times. I mean, you know, it's just an entry that I look for, right? So if the trade ends up failing, we have to keep the tight stop. So not holding it, you know, cutting it as quickly as possible, not holding it into the halt down. And you can see it was pretty brutal here. It ended up going to 9.23 and then $8 before it recovered. Selling this down at $8, you know, I'm down like 6K in the trade, 7K in the trade at that point. So in terms of like cutting the trade quickly, we did what we were supposed to do there. But in terms of the loss, the sense, the size, the sense of the loss itself, that's what really got us here. So far, so good though with hotkeys, everything like that. I think, you know, it's pretty smooth at this platform. I haven't really ran into any issues. Things to note though, and I have to set up this chime, right, where when I buy, because I'm so used to like hearing a chime, I think people who've like started out with this platform might not have the same feeling, which is like with Thinkorswim, when you hit the buy button, there's like that little jingle that goes through, and here there's like just silence, right, which is like a little of like a getting used to kind of thing. So I think I'm gonna go into the settings there and like maybe put like a chime to it. And on top of that, it's good to keep in mind, you got to pay attention to like partial fills and or let's say not getting filled, right? If your entry rejects, right, that's something you want to pay attention to make sure you cancel and then like get you know, send out the order again. And again, I think a jingle will help with that too, right? Like rejected orders. I'm pretty sure we can set up the order fill thing, sound chime, and or something else that'll work pretty well. But yeah, HTOO, this one is what really got us. I think the 5 symbol stock QVCGA, we could have made some money on, but we needed to be a little bit more aggressive on the front side. QVCG, yeah, this one here. We made money in, I think, this candle here, one of these two candles, either here or here, but we lost on the backside trading the pullback here around VWAP, looking for the red to green. The key is of course, you know, again, being a little bit more aggressive on the front side to at least rake in some proper gains. Sizing up too slowly is just not going to make sense. I think once this next trade of rehab is done, the key will be to hit the first couple of green candles hard and then just ease off. And then I think PLRZ was actually a decent stock as well. This one, the pullback let's see, the pullback right here, we got stopped out at like bottom tick, and then the move happened. A little tough there, a little tough on this one. Stop it. Maybe my stop might have been a little too tight. I think we caught one of these candles here, but smaller size. We didn't really quite build the position as aggressively as we needed to. We only had a couple hundred shares. And so, when it comes to pullback trades, right? I think there's a couple of different approaches, but the two that I really like to focus on is either being in most of my position at where the support is, right? And that can be tricky because sometimes where you think the support is and where the support actually is can be two different levels, right? And then the other one is to scale in slowly and try to accumulate the position. So even if let's say you buy your first entry here, and it's it's a little high compared to the exact bottom here, which is all the way down at this level. What this does is it allows you to keep buying slowly over time and keep buying and keep buying. But I think it really works well when the stock comes to support and gives this like sideways kind of move, similar to this one over here. Like this is a good example of it. It's like we have a support and the support is lingering and we're kind of like there over time. Buying a couple times with smaller size right here and the stock curls up quickly, I find myself being in a position, let's say I'm buying like 500 share blocks. I find myself being in a position, maybe just 1,500 shares when my aim is to be in there like 5,000 shares or even more, right? So I think either buying a little bit more aggressively, and it's a little tough sometimes because when these stocks bottom, I mean, we start to jump so quickly, right? We can be up like 15 cents, like that. So I think being a little bit more aggressive to buy into the spike, even though, it might result in some higher fills could work. But, we'll see. I think either or can make sense. If your accuracy is really high, then being in a bigger size at once can make more sense. But if you're having trouble determining the dip, spreading out the entry a little bit more can make more sense, right? So PLRZ, that was the issue here. Some pullbacks we caught nicely, but not enough size. And then other entries for high of day breakouts, smaller losses, or let's say bigger losses with smaller losses sense wise, but bigger losses due to the size. For me, I'm more comfortable with breakout trades. Like an area like this, for example, I take 4,000 shares right here to see if we can get the continued push. But I'm in, let's say 70, we're back down 66, right? It's like a quick loss when, only having a couple hundred shares coming up, whilst it might have been a nice 15, 20 cent trade, even that couple cents loss there with a little bit more size, it's like you're back to flat or even red between those two trades, right? There's like a $17 stock, I think, on Thursday of last week, where I was up like $3 a share or way more, and I ended red on the stock a small amount, and it's like, yeah, I needed to push way more size on that resumption trade that came, and that even in itself, like some people like to be a little bit more consistent with size. They don't like to change the size too much. But for me, it really comes down to the risk, right? But we have seen some great winning trades with smaller size, and sizing up and then taking losses. So, we got to be careful about that. So trader rehab for tomorrow, slightly smaller size, and or not even slightly, but much smaller size. And we're gonna take it easy. Just try to get a couple of green days under our belt, and then slowly increase from there, just like last time, to get back out of the drawdown, and then we'll be a little bit more aggressive from that point on. This way we don't spiral down and like have like an equity curve trending down. At least this way we can like sustain and go sideways. But yeah, that was pretty much the day. Again, most of the losses came from like one stock, 3 trades, 4 trades on one area, and some smaller paper cuts from there. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the recap here. Hit the thumbs up. For those of you trading pre-market in the chat room, we're gonna be here around 7 a.m. for the open, and then pre-market. I guess you call it the retail brokers open for pre-market, and then we'll start a live stream around 9:15, 9:10 a.m. market time. So hit the thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.